We're here today with 2 different types of traps, trapping the moles. I came a couple of days ago to set the traps and everywhere was flooded. So I've had to put traps in certain areas that I wouldn't normally, but we'll go around and hopefully get quite a few.
There's some you've caught already this morning.
Yeah, there's 8 in here. These are all caught with patang traps.
Okay, because I got moles.
Yep, and I'm going to give you some traps and give you some tips.
So,
yep, that's no problem. I'll give you some traps and give you some tips on catching them. Right traps is the most important thing. But I haven't got any patangs on board, but they are in the ground, which we're about to have a little look to see if we caught anything.
Okay, let's go for it.
Lovely. Really, these ones are deep. Let's have a little look. No, it's not one in that one. Well, for example, no, these ones haven't gone off at all. So, for example, on these holes here, that's about 12 inches in there. I found this run. This is one of the only runs that didn't have any water in it. It was all submerged. You'll see with some of the other holes that I'm going to do, they can be just under the surface, or they can even be deeper than this. But these are the traps that I prefer to use. These are called patangs. And how they work is the mole comes along, taps in it, and that's it. One of the most important things that I've found is when trapping a live animal, it needs to be as quick and as humane as possible.
Set that for me again and show me again then, please.
So basically, these are the setting pliers. Come up underneath, just put the tongue in, and it's ready to go. It's easy as that. I was going to say I don't know who tied the string on there because they've put green. That was me, obviously. I would recommend anybody that ties the string on to use orange or yellow, because when you put them down in the grass, they're very camoed, very easy to lose the traps.
Just set off again. I'm
So, oh, hang on. So when you set them, I've done it just for purpose of the camera, but you can set them really lightly. Yeah, really lightly. So basically when the mole comes through there and
through
hits that...
Oh no, not through the hole.
Yeah, because it basically goes, as you can see, they are strong. Okay. So when that's in the hole, the trap will look like that. Yeah. Some people set them sideways, some people go upside down. I've always set them like that. So if you picture the mole coming through, as soon as it comes through, that's it. And the most important things with these traps is it will catch it up the head end or just behind its feet. So basically it will kill it very quick and efficient. As you can see, it's a nice clean kill behind, and it's just, I know it's not for everybody, but the main thing is this animal's dispatched straight away. Hence why good quality traps is key. Don't ever go cheap just because it saves you money. You've got to think about these little guys. You want them to literally be bang and dead. I get all of these traps from UK Patang supplies, which I've had lots of different traps, and these are the only ones that have lasted and have got immense power. And that's the most important thing, is the power. That it's literally, as soon as that goes off, boom, that mole's dispatched. So I'd definitely recommend giving Andrew McDonald a call for these. Don't waste your money like I had with other traps that don't last, especially if you're doing a lot of it, because they spend most of their time in the ground set. So obviously the more they're set, the weaker they get. But touch wood, these ones, I don't know what it is, but these ones just do not lose their power. Definitely wouldn't want my finger in that at all. So yeah, no, that would be a definite. And all we do is, when you put them back in, is you just put a peg into the loop, and the idea of the peg is to stop the trap sliding forward or backwards. And what I always make sure is that the peg is closest to where the trap is, so that when the mole touches it, any movement, that trap is dead solid. So as soon as it hits the tongue, it's bang, it goes off. Rather than
show me that on the surface, because I'm at the moment.
Yeah. So basically, if I use this, because I normally set them with this, when this trap is in the hole, when this trap's in the hole, I always make sure, because the mole's coming from this direction, I always put the stake closest to that trigger, so that when the mole comes along and touches in, that will be an instant trap go off, rather than it's a bit of movement. I'm not sure how clever moles are, but I'm going to have to always think that they are brain scientists. So I like it that you don't get any of that, because it could theoretically move the trap, feel it, and spook. So
can I just hold on, I didn't realise these tunnels were one way. You said the mole's coming from this direction. How the hell do you know that the mole's coming from that direction?
Well, you've got the other trap pointing the other direction. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. That was me not explaining it. So I've got, sorry, that's my bad explaining. So it'll be,
okay.
So it's going to be like that.
I got you.
Yeah, it's going to be like that. So that'll be that. So
now she's got it.
Yeah, my rubbish explaining. So when they're in the hole, you've got your double chance of catching the mole pretty much, so it'll look like that. And then obviously if you had a three-way hole, you would have another patang like that.
Okay.
So I have got some out there you'll see with 3 in, and that's basically how it all works, like that.
Every direction.
Yeah. So I'll set this back up and we'll go and hopefully get some moles. The good thing is none of these were backfilled, where the mole comes along, senses a trap, pushes soil into it, which is a good thing. So that means when you break through the surface, I've got this little thing, you can either do it with your fingers or put this up in the hole, so when you break through, any loose soil that goes right up in the hole, this reaches up and just scrapes it back, because any soil that's in that hole, the mole will push it forwards and it will hit that trigger, set the trap off, and then that's a no catch. So the good thing is no mole's been on these, because there's no sign of the traps moving, which is good. And another important thing is, if I'd finished with this hole, because it's quite a large hole, so when I lift my traps, I'll backfill these holes with the soil from the molehill and then put the turf on top, but I always leave it quite raised just to allow for sinkage. Otherwise, when the cows eventually come out here later on in the year, you're going to end up with a hole that possibly could break the cow's leg. So that's one other thing to bear in mind. Moles can actually excavate 20 metres of tunnel a day. Yeah, apparently so. So you can see why. I mean, their claws are so sharp. So this field here, there's loads of badgers about, loads of badgers, and the badger has dug down to that. How on earth did it get that trap?
Ready-made meal though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's annoying. That's really annoying. So this is how we find the holes. This little T-bar with a little ball on the end that my friend Kevin made me. And all you do is you push it into the ground, just trying to find, if you see like that, that's quite hard. And then all of a sudden, there, did you see that? Probably set the trap off, but there, you can feel it, it's
suddenly got hollow.
Yeah, it's suddenly got hollow. Right, so this trap is a different trap. This is called a tailpex trap. And this trap has gone off. And that is what you call a mole. So these traps work slightly different. These are a singular trap, which only has obviously one mechanism to catch one mole. So, for example, what I do, they've got blooming strong springs on. Clean that off, make sure the tab's in the middle, push it like that. I bend, these tongues are normally straight, but I bend them downwards. So when it's in the hole, it looks like that. And the idea is when that's in the hole, the mole comes along, touches that, and away it goes.
So why did you bend it down? Because you don't think it's too. You think it's too high, do you?
Well, I'm making it as sensitive as possible.
Okay.
Also, I do actually run around just the edge of that with a file, so there's no lips on it. So you just bend it downwards. But this trap's set completely different to how you set the patangs. These rely on soil in the hole, for example. So what you do is you clear the hole out. Like that. Just make sure it's nice and clean. Reset your trap so the hole is completely clear of any soil. Again, make sure you set it nice and lightly. I push it down into the hole. Everybody does it different, completely different. So what I do is I push it down in the hole, so the mole's really got to work for it. Really got to work to push that trigger. But then what you rely on, I'm gonna have to go over there quickly and grab some in my pot. 2 seconds. Is some nice dry soil. I also make sure there's no grass in it either, because I'm not sure if the moles can detect fresh grass. So once you get that all fine, you put it back into the hole like so. So that fills the trap.
Oh, right.
And then once you've filled it to a point that you're happy with, what I normally do is just fill it up.
And that doesn't stop the spring doing its thing?
No, so all it's got to do, that tab has got to move just a tiniest bit for the trap to go off. To make sure for resistance purposes, again, everyone does it different, I push soil like that onto the top of the trap each side.
Oh, right.
So basically,
Yeah,
yeah.
it in there.
So that's how I do it. Everyone does it different, as I say.
No lateral movement.
So there's no move. As soon as it touches
No
that,
lateral movement,
as soon as
yeah.
it's touched that tongue, boom, that'll go straight off.
Okay.
And the reason why these work so well is moles want to clear their holes, so they come along and really push around and they're trying to work to clear it, hit that tongue, and as you can see, that's a caught mole. I think they're beautiful little animals, really. It's a shame the mess they make. So that is the tail packs. Now we've got probably another 50 to check.
50?
Yep.